Okay, so we are here, and CGA Game 1 is complete. It was the ace race, and Medem of the Thundercats won that one. And I will have to say that we had done multiple ace race games and actually did an entire tournament. And it was very fun, and it worked out very well. But in this setting in CGA, I think that the stakes are a little higher. It's a little more intense, a little more serious, and the ace race was absolutely chaotic. These players wanted to count milliseconds for shots, and we had to be very careful about, players with lag, or they couldn't hear something, or like there was an audio or a visual lag. So we're not going to do ace race again. We were going to do it again halfway through the season for the second draft. Like the new players were going to come in and do an ace race. But we are not going to do that. It's too crazy. We are going to do a match play mode that's built into the game, and we're just going to have all new 6 players do match play, and they're going to do it on a new hard course. So that'll be fun. That'll solve that issue. We tried it, and again, it worked outside of the CGA, but the CGA is a different animal. Also, we have Karma and Tiger with us here. Karma, the owner of the Barracudas. Tiger, the owner of the Thundercats. And again, congratulations, Tiger. You get the first point of the CGA Season 1. And you put Medem in. What was your strategy for putting in Medem?
Well, Jen, that was a big point. And some would say probably the biggest point of the season. The only time where your team can score a point and keep everyone else at 0. So that was huge for us. We went into it knowing that we needed to get that point and its importance. So Medem was a no-brainer for us. As soon as I knew there was an ace race, Medem was our guy. He's the best in the world at making the hole-in-one line. And like I told all those dummies in the casino, this is 2025 Steph Curry in a 3-point contest. Put your money on him. Count it when it's over. We knew it was going to happen.
Well, Medem never participated in any of the mini ace races that we did. So I'm thinking he has no chance in my mind because I've not seen him play, and I've seen these other players kill it. So it was a nice surprise. Like, what kind of practice did he do for that? Any at all? Or was he just born to do it?
Well, fun fact, Medem doesn't own the course. Holiday Hideaway.
Damn.
So, any practice he had, we had to do as a team.
That's hilarious.
So we went in, we were trying to figure some things out. I mean, he's a quick learner. He got it. I've played that course, a half a dozen times probably, not many. He had it figured out before, we could even really know what was going on. But shout out to our Thunder Buddy Pyramid. He got something. Also shout out to Ice Cream Taco. Gave us a good line on hole 2.
Ice Cream Taco was up in there helping you.
I hate to hear that.
Whoa, whoa. Ice Cream Taco. Ice Cream Taco has been in the Barracudas DMs trying to help them. Look at this.
Well, you think you know a guy.
Oh my gosh. The truth comes out.
Fairness, he was not in the room with us. We got a video from him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we got that, but it was huge too because it was hole 2. It was important to get out to a good start. You didn't want the first 3 or 4 holes to go by and not get a point. So it was good for his confidence to be able to get hole 2. And then, part of his strategy was finding some of the more chaotic holes, 15, 16, I think 9. You'll notice if you go back and watch the replay on 9, everyone shot to the left on the ribbon hole, and Medem shot to the right.
Shot to the right, yeah. And it rolled down. Yeah. Well, do you think?
So he was really methodical about looking for that advantage on some of those holes and finding the line, and he did it.
Jen, I'm hearing a lot of talk here about this point, right? I hear Tiger say, "Oh, we got a point. We got 1 point." That's a big point that we got there. But it's a good start. I mean, that's all it is.
Great
it's a start.
Do you think?
Let's be honest. That's a point they're probably going to need. They're probably going to need that point in their chase for second place because, it could be a big one for that.
We're just waiting on everyone else to start.
Yeah. Well, how much do you think that was luck for Medem? Do you feel like, Karma, do you think there was any luck there for Medem?
Yeah, Medem, I mean, let's be honest, Jen, this is an ace race we're talking about. Medem's out here, it's been reported by multiple sources that he's out there acting like he just won the fucking Masters. Not the case, Medem.
I love that.
The ace race is more luck than skill, my friend. I think we all know that.
Medem is starting some shit behind the scenes. Major shit. I'm hearing about it.
He is.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot of talk about socks out there. I'm just going to say that much.
Yeah.
I think the sock puppet was a big part of it. It was like having his own little thunder buddy there with him. I think it provided him some comfort and allowed him to excel.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's out here giving a TED talk on the ace race, but let's be honest. I mean, there's more luck in the ace race than kind of coin in a wind tunnel. Everybody knows that.
Idea. We'll start looking into that. We'll see if we can monetize those.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, congratulations on your win. The point will be an important point, but let's not, kid around here. We all know that there's a little bit of luck involved in the ace race, and we'll see how the rest of these matches turn out. We got a big match coming up this Friday, and excited to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, Karma, I think. Karma, Indy did very well. He was starting to pull up and get close to second. He was hitting all those bonus point holes, and I was in the practice with you guys, and he was definitely doing well. I think he could have won it, but met him with that shot on 15, hitting that cube. Man, that was a tough shot. And
Indy's going to win almost every ace race he's involved in that doesn't have Medem. So we absolutely went into it knowing that he was probably our biggest competition. Obviously you're looking at Jorge too, you're looking at Lean, and any of those guys could heat up in it. Fugo got out to a hot start by getting number 1, so that kind of throws something out there. How much has he been putting into it?
Oh, Jorge, I think got the first hole, if that's what you're saying.
Jorge actually hit so many, they were just a fraction of a second behind someone else who got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? I mean, listen, you get the point, it's in the books, it's on the stat sheet, but, very close to actually not winning that ace race, some would say.
Now, Indy was a big ace race player. Oh, say that again?
I would say the people that would say that are the same people that bet against him in the casino. They're dummies.
It was a rough night in the casino, but, there's not a lot of supporters for the Thundercats these days.
I don't know. Yeah, Indy was a big enthusiast for the ace races. In fact, he would guess the room names before we would put them out. Like, complicated room names. Like, this guy's a genius. And I was really expecting him to, at least get very close, if not tying it in the end there. But that is not what happened. So, yeah, congrats to Medem. Well earned. It looked like he was definitely on his game last night. So can't hate on that.
Let's put the fingers around those. It was well earned,
What was that?
Oh, put it in quotes. Well earned. It was well earned.
Yeah. It is a good way to kick it off for you guys.
Medem put in all the hard work, but it was a total team effort. Everyone in there was helping him out. That's the great thing about this team. Is it's not a me, it's a we. And we are here.
So that means we're not coming for Medem, we're coming for y'all. We're coming for those cats.
All y'all.
Right, you're coming for all of us.
Well, we have a game Friday coming up, June 13th, 9:30 Eastern. It's going to be Worst Ball. Tiger, you're definitely a big fan of Worst Ball. We've got the Mambas and Clams playing, and let's talk about these players that are going to be playing. So for the Montana Mambas, we have His Dueness, which is a weekly warrior. He's not out there in the matches on the server that much, playing those doubles and playing this style. Master Dominator is on the Mambas. He'll be playing, and he is a veteran of the worst ball in this style of play. He loves the shenanigans, as he calls them. And then Fromel of the Mambas will be out there as well. And for the Clams, it's going to be Zonk, one of the Weekly Warriors, Gonzinator, and El Jorge. So how do you guys feel about this matchup? What do you think you might be seeing this Friday?
I mean, what sticks off the bat, like you said, it's the Master Dominator. You know, Master Dominator is a seasoned vet at worst ball. Shenanigans is his go-to game. So I really think that Dom is, if he's doing what he should be doing, he's preparing his teammates to be on his level, because I think he's probably the favorite out of all the players you just listed in that match. Now, what we're talking about worst ball, so it actually is a matchup between the worst players on the team. You know, some people could get picked on. Not to say that any of these players are bad players, but consistency is key. So you might want to give the slight edge to the Weekly Warriors if you're thinking about it like that. You know, they're very consistent players. They're used to playing it safe. One thing I'll say about the Weekly Warriors is they may not be as accustomed to the random factor as, say, like Don is. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. The Mambas, Dudeness, also a Weekly Warrior in some respects. And Fromel, very excited to see his debut in the CGA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much experience he has in worst ball, but I do think it's going to be a pretty even matchup. I would probably give the slight edge to the Clams.
Okay, interesting.
I would have to agree. I think Dom is definitely the one out there that the Mambas need to be leaning on. He's got the experience. He's done, dozens and dozens of worst ball matches. The thing about all 6 of these guys are they are all very consistent players, which is what you really want in a worst ball. You want people that can put consistent shots out there that aren't going to take. You really don't need risk takers in a worst ball format. You want people that can hit a consistent shot, get it to. You're obviously going to go for the ones where, there's not a whole lot of danger around. So, I mean, that will come into play. But, yeah, I mean, all those guys are definitely consistent players that can, put good shots out there. So it's going to be really interesting to see who does get targeted. Because you always find one on the other team. You start, especially in a live stream, you see someone that may have a little bit of nerves, and they get picked on once or twice, and they miss a couple putts. That gets stuck in the back of your head, and that's something that can really snowball out of control real quick. But at the same time, worst ball is also a format to where the score can really fluctuate. If you get 3 or 4, you're not out of it. All it takes is one bad shot on the other team, and you guys are right back in it. So you just have to stay consistent with it, and don't get discouraged if you get down early.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to agree with Hoods, but he hit the nail on the head with all that. I mean, worst ball is a mental game, and you can come back from those large deficits. So as long as you stay composed out there, even if you are being targeted, you do have the opportunity to score on pretty much any hole on worst ball.
It is a frustrating game if you are being targeted. I've played it and absolutely been targeted, obviously. And it's brutal. It is a soul-crushing game. And if you guys don't know how worst ball is played, so it's 3 versus 3, and both teams tee off. And then the other teams get to decide who's going to take the last shot on the other team, if that makes sense. And they're probably going to go for the other team's worst ball. And I will say that Carmen and I played El Jorge and Indy the other night in worst ball, and neither of them had ever played it before. And El Jorge will be playing on Friday for his team, the Clams.
Delete that from the recording. That's not true. Indy plays worst ball all the time.
I'm sorry. Yes. Indy all the time. El Jorge not so much. No.
Not so much for all.
That was edit all that out. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun match. And it's going to be fun to watch these guys strategize, with these shots and who are we choosing. And if you don't have a solid team that's pretty much balanced in skill, someone is going to get picked on to death. And it is painful to watch and to be a part of. So
that's the key word right there, Jen. Balance. It's all about the balance.
And one thing about Dom, he will find the weak link on that other team. And better believe he will start picking on him.
Yeah.
He'll start picking on him. He'll start making noises. He'll do whatever he has to do to win that game. Dom's a gamer.
Yeah, he is. He is. He will definitely do what he's got to do. But yeah, that's going to be a fun match to, start the match play style, getting right into worst ball. I know, Tiger, that's every time we play with you, you're like, let's do worst ball. So yeah, I can't wait to see you. Are you, well, you don't have to say, but are you putting yourself in for your team?
Oh, yeah. I made one declaration at the start. I said, I'm playing worst ball. So
That's amazing.
And I also made one declaration. I will not be playing worst ball.
He's like, hell
I know
no.
when this comes out of game.
Hell no.
Absolutely not. I have 3 incredible players that I'll be throwing out there for worst ball, and I am not one of them.
Yeah, your team is going to be solid. And Tiger, I can't wait to watch you play. That's going to be awesome. All right, so last topic is jockeying in the CGA. What's right? What's wrong? What's ethical? How do we feel about it, Tiger?
Go ahead, Karma.
Karma.
Okay.
Well, my thoughts may not want to be heard by most people, but, I'm all for jockeying, as some know. And I would say I'll take it a step further. I think if you're against jockeying, you're doing yourself a disservice because a well-earned jockey is part of the game. And I'm not talking about stroke play jockeying. Of course, we've all gotten in those games when you're in a stroke play match and the jockeying gets a little out of hand. I'm talking about match play. In match play, there's only a limited opportunities to make that jockey move. And if you're going to be in an opportunity where your partner's already in the hole and you can gain some strategy on the next hole, it'd be foolish not to take that advantage. So if my opponents don't want to jockey, that's up to them. But I'll tell you one thing, Barracudas do what they have to win the goddamn game. And we're going to do that. If that includes jockeying, we're going to jockey. We're pro-jockey establishment. Liz, what do you think?
That's spoken like a true Barracuda, scumbag.
Oh.
So,
That's right. It's the only way we roll, baby. Scumming ain't easy.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
jockeying to me doesn't really matter. I mean, in these formats, it comes into play. It will come into play, but it decides an outcome of a game at such a minimal percentage that there's no point in. It's just don't make it something to worry about during the game. If that's what your team wants to do, go for it. I mean, that's the way you guys want to play that way. But
May I make a counter argument for you?
Let's hear it.
How about the mental jockey? It's not always about necessarily the turn order. Like you said, it may not make a difference with the caliber of these players, but sometimes they think a little bit too much about the jockey. Sometimes it kind of gets in their head.
Well, I like to reverse jockey. I like to get to the front of the tee box. I want to be the first one going. I want to be the one that sets the tone for the rest of the shots that are taken on that hole. And even though it's still pretty much the same amount of time in between swings, I feel I get into a much better rhythm when I'm at the front of the tee box than when I'm having to wait and watch these other shots and almost have someone else dictate and determine what shot I may have to take.
I agree with you, Hoods. I think that's the right move, right? You should pick your path. If you're more comfortable shooting higher up in the order, then don't jockey. But it really depends on the circumstances. And there are some holes that you'd be lying if you said a jockey wasn't an advantage on the next hole. Everybody would know those holes when they come up.
Sure, but I think those holes are few and far between, and you still have to hit shots in order to win. And the variables that happen, from the beginning to the end of a match, make it almost impossible to build a consistent, plan of jockeying. It's just not something that I worry about, and if I was anyone else, I wouldn't worry about it either. If you find a spot to where you feel like it might be an advantage and you want to take advantage of it, then I say do it.
So would you outlaw the jockey? Would you ban the jockey?
I would not ban the jockey.
No.
The last thing we need are more rules.
Well, let me tell you, I have played at least 2,000 match play games on the Classic server over the last 2 years. I've streamed over 300 matches. Not one time has jockeying been a point of contention, an issue, something that needed a rule. Like, it's never been a problem. So I don't think it's going to be a problem in here. In fact, I'm a very aggressive jockeyer. If I'm in a situation where, karma's already in and I don't need to make my shot, I'll look the other team dead in the eye and smash the ball into the wall and then move on. Just being very aggressive. Yeah, I think it's part of the gameplay. I think it's part of the fun, and we will absolutely be allowing that strategy into the CGA.
But one thing, I also understand the players that are bringing it up. The players that are bringing it up are very methodical players. They're very analytical players. They think this game through inside and out. So they're always looking for the advantages and disadvantages, and where they could possibly get a leg up, or where they could see someone else could get a leg up on them. And that's just kind of, between me and them, that's just kind of a difference of philosophy of how we approach the game. I'm very, I just kind of go with it. I'm very instinct driven when I play. I know certain lines and certain dots and certain things to hit at, but for the most part, I'm going out there and I'm just letting it fly. I get those guys because they really think the game inside and out, and they're going to uncover every stone in order to find something. So I get where they're coming from.
Yeah, I get that too, Hoods. But the thing is, this is a professional sport, and just like in other pro sports, you have the pitching change, kind of throws off the chemistry. Sometimes the batter steps out of the box. Sometimes you call a timeout before a kick. There's a lot of gamesmanship out there. And this is just another thing.
It's the game inside the game,
and half of it's mental.
And if jockeying stays in, they'll figure that out too.
I appreciate I appreciate their thoughts and their perspective and their analysis. I think that brings a lot of depth to the game, and we think about it in ways we hadn't. And I'm a player where I like to jockey, and I'm a player that loves to stay on the tee box and maintain the tee box. So you could be in a match where you love being on the tee box and you've got a team that wants to jockey. Well, that's a match made in heaven. So it goes both ways.
100%, Jen. You got to just feel out the situation and play accordingly. You do whatever you have to win that game. That's the Barracuda way.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what you got to do when you're coming for that Super Bowl.
That's right.
That's what you got to do.
Absolutely,
bro.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. I think that's going to be it. We will see y'all on Friday, June 13th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mambas versus the Killer Clams. It's going to be an exciting game.
And Jen, I just want the viewers out there to know that when the Barracudas face off against the Thundercats, that's a match you are not going to want to miss, because there's a little bit extra on the line on that one.
Oh, can't wait to see it.
We got beef with everybody, so yeah, you're not going to want to miss any Thundercat match.
Hey, what happened? What about this?
Meadham started a war. Meadham started a war out there. The Barracuda's going to end that war.
Listen, we've been fighting communism in Europe since the beginning. We have no problem fighting a couple of merbears.
I expect to see it. I expect to see it. All right, awesome. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Hoods.